On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk to Mark Graham about a marketing success story and the biggest trend he sees in marketing today. Hey everybody, and welcome to the very premiere edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm Kirby Hasseman, your host for this new web show. On Delivering Marketing Joy, each time we're going to talk to leaders around the business community on marketing, entrepreneurism, all kinds of cool stuff. Today, I couldn't think of a better person to kick off the show with than Mark Graham, a good friend of mine who is the founder of both Right Sleeve, a promotional products distributorship, and a software, order management software called commonsku. So thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate you being part of the show.
So excited, and the honor is all mine. Thank you so much, Kirby.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, let's get started. I want to make this as efficient as possible. I want to start with my first question. Now, I'm sure you have a lot of influences when you are coming up with ideas, but who do you consider the main influences in your business and marketing strategy?
It's such a tough question. There's so many people, but if I was to really focus in on two people, they'd be someone that you and I both share high regard for, Seth Godin. I've read every one of his books. I think I stumbled across Seth Godin, I think in 2006 or 2005, and I first read The Purple Cow, which was this book that I picked up, and I thought, this is a bit funky and a bit strange. And I read it and was totally blown away. It was brief, it was simple, to the point, and entertaining. And I thought, this is how one should employ their marketing strategy. And I became very, very interested in everything he had to say. So I've read all of his books, I've read his blog, I subscribe to it and read it daily. And he's become an enormous influence in terms of how it is that we've gone about social media, software design, running Right Sleeve, which is, as you well know with Hasseman, is a company that operates inside a very mature and commoditized industry. And someone like Seth just distills all of this great value in terms of how it is that you can separate yourself from the competition within a commoditized industry. So Seth Godin, absolutely number one. And really, really nice guy. He actually responds to my emails, which I'm honored. I'm just this little guy, and here he responds to my emails. And the other person who I don't know nearly as well as Seth Godin is Jim Collins. Jim, of course, has written many business books. He's probably best known for Good to Great.
Sure. And
I read Good to Great probably around the same time as The Purple Cow, and I was skeptical when I got into it. I was thinking, here's a guy who's going to be writing long form about these theoretical business concepts, and here he is able to really bring it down to the entrepreneur and someone who's not necessarily in an MBA class. And I just loved the idea of the hedgehog principle, and I loved the idea of the right people in the right seats on the bus.
Totally.
And it was so simple, and I think the measure of a great business book is when you can remember it without having to reread it several years later. Yeah. So two brilliant business minds. There's many, many others, but I'd say those two.
Yeah, those are two great ones. I'm with you. I read Seth Godin's blog every day. You and I have talked about that. And I'm actually reading a Jim Collins book right now, and it's one of his earlier ones called Beyond Entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
and it's a new concept for me, and so that's a good one to check out if you're interested. Now, is there any one instance, we're talking about marketing, is there any one instance where you've used social, promo, the combination of thereof, any kind of thing to create success for both either one of your companies or a customer?
One example, there are many examples, but you've limited me to just one. So
I was going to say, I hope there's plenty.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, as we started commonsku, the software company that we launched a couple of years ago, one of the first things that I knew that we had to do was develop really interesting promotional products. Because, of course, on the Right Sleeve side, I knew how powerful and cost-effective this medium was. You well know this. You talk about this in your book as well. And I thought, okay, how can I create a product that is going to have a great story, is going to be compelling, and is going to speak to an incredibly picky audience? And that's an audience of people like you and me, because, absolutely. Of course, we sell this stuff all day long.
Right.
So we are pickier than the pickiest end user out there. So that was rather intimidating for me to think, how can we launch this brand and engage people who are in the promotional products industry, who are our customers, with a really great piece of promotional products. So enter, and I've got this on my here, a little prop here. You can see this. This is our SKUBot. For those people that don't know, SKUBot is a mascot that we created at the very outset of building Common SKU. It was illustrated by the very talented T. Hamilton, who some of you may know. And this became the voice of our product. And it was one where we wanted to have a whimsical, fun, creative voice, but at the same time, professional and really down to business. So I thought that it would be a wonderful way to create something that could sit on people's desks. So I was thinking about this and thought, okay, who is the best person for the job for this? And I thought of my good friend Dana Zezo. Of course, you know Dana very well as well, and approached him and said, we should do a collaboration where we can not only create something for SKUBot, but you can create something that will allow you to tell a story about the wonderful custom stress toys that you make at Jetline. So it was a win-win, a marriage made in heaven. We were able to get these wonderful products and distribute them throughout the industry. And then Dana and his team at Jetline, we were able to create this great case study that showed how the product was made from the very beginning, from concept, all the way to final execution. So it became this really interesting education story, a marketing story, a social media story, a video story, because we produced a video around it. And the return that we got from people within the industry in terms of buzz was phenomenal. And then the return that Jetline was able to get in terms of awareness for their custom made stress toy was also enormous as well. So that's my one answer. And we're very, very excited about it.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good one. It's a great example. And again, I can speak to it that you saw all over social, people taking pictures with SKUBot and sharing it. And so you created something that became viral on its own. So that's pretty cool.
I
Uh,
will say one thing here. I don't know if you can see this on here, but this is a shout out to Jetline. That if you're interested in seeing that case study that promotes what Jetline does, the URL is commonsku.com/the real case study. And if you want your very own SKUBot from the great friend or good friends at Jetline, then you can fill out the form right from that page.
yeah,
So
we can
shout
probably
out to Jetline.
we can probably throw that up on the screen as well.
Yeah.
Final question for you. What's the biggest trend you're seeing in marketing today?
You know what? Had we had this interview 2 years ago, I would have said something like social media. And you would have nodded your head and said, yep, absolutely. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, they're really hot at the time. And while they're still really hot right now, Kirby, I'm finding that they're taking a backseat to content marketing.
Agreed.
That's something that I've really seen really blow up in the last 12 months. And content marketing has been around for a while. Some of you may be familiar with companies like HubSpot that have really pioneered this concept. But I think that content marketing has really tipped into the mainstream in 2014. What that means for people that might not be too familiar with it, it means how does one create compelling original content, put it up online as a way to engage customers and bring customers in, educate them, make them more aware of the value that you bring as a company, as opposed to jamming a sales pitch down someone's throat. And I think we all know, Seth Godin would certainly say this, that those days are over in terms of jamming a sales pitch down people's throats. And I think, not to embarrass you, Kirby, but I think that you're one of those leaders in the industry that's done a fantastic job, not only with blogging, but particularly with video. And I'm guessing that you're doing that to some extent to draw in customers.
Sure.
And you're doing that in a way that is authentic, is building relationships. And I think people like you have a real head start over so many other people who just don't understand what good content is all about. So content marketing, HubSpot is probably one of the best known examples of that. They've got a great blog written by their founder, and you can go check out at HubSpot.com. And I have nothing to do with HubSpot. I'm not selling their service. I'm not a shareholder, but I am a user, and I've been very, very happy with what they've done.
Yeah, it's interesting, Mark. This is almost a whole other show, right? Because there's so much to it. But I totally agree. And the other thing, it's not only a part of the marketing, what's really changing, I think, is it's changing the entire sales funnel because people,
Yep.
if you do a good job on the front end of the marketing side, the content side, customers are coming in much more educated, and so you don't have to sell them. You
Yep.
you you, you you need to guide them in a direction that makes the most sense because trust has already been built, and so it's a really interesting time we're living in. I agree. Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we got three questions. That's plenty for our show today. However, I promised you, and I'm going to
Uh,
have this opportunity for each guest we have on the show. And I will tell you, I'm a little nervous because I don't know what this is. Give each guest on the show a chance to ask me a question. So I'll do my best.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, right? There's so many that I could ask you, but the one that I'm curious about, Kirby, is how do you balance the time as an entrepreneur between the traditional promotional products business and this video business that you've got that is, I think, so exciting and so compelling, but there's only so many hours in the day. How do you divide the time?
That's a great question. I think that it's so easy in almost any business to be reactive in nature. I think
Yep.
it's really a key, a couple things, I guess I would say. Number one is having a really good team. Sitting beside me right now is Dustin Haywood. He's our lead media specialist. He kind of keeps
Yep.
me in line and helps me, um, you know, maybe I come up with some kooky idea about doing something, and then he helps me put it together. So he does a lot on the back end and doesn't get a lot of credit for it.
Yep.
So having a great team, and then really just proactively scheduling things. I mean, I think so many times we wait for the day to come to us.
Yep.
It is really, I think the biggest thing is just saying, you know what, during this particular time, I'm going to do this and nothing else.
Yep.
I think and just taking action. That's the other thing. I think people tend to wait for someone else to do something for them. And, I'm not afraid to look silly. So I just go ahead and give it a shot. So that's what we're doing today, right?
That's good. You put your ego aside, and well, I think that's great. I mean, the idea of a good team and delegating, I think, is something that's really, really important.
Yeah.
And it's also exciting, I think, when you're in the promotional products business. I think that it gives you some flexibility to go and explore these
Yeah.
nooks and crannies in terms of things that you're passionate about. So,
Yeah. No, it's
congratulations to
fun.
you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
honored to be on the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and I think it does help you think a little bit more worldly about how you can help your clients too. So, well, hey, thank you so much for being a part of this premiere edition of Delivering Marketing Joy.
Yep.
Really appreciate it, and we'll have you back for sure. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Take care, Kirby.
All right, see ya.